So I have finally broke down and I'm figuring out our garden beds that have been falling apart for 2 years. We put these garden beds in 4 years ago, and honestly they started breaking down really bad around the third year. So I put it off for a year that I really needed to fix the wood beds. So I finally been saving some money and I bought just two for right now. And I just literally just went online and ordered a cheap garden bed out of galvanized metal. So I got those ordered. I had my husband and my kids, they put them together for me. So they were in the garage for a couple days and we were actually planning to put them out the next week. But if anybody knows me, I am a very impatient person, and I woke up one day and I just told myself, I'm pretty sure I can install these myself. I don't need my husband's help. So bright and early, I got to it. I started digging out all the soil and carried those garden beds from the garage because they're already assembled. They weren't heavy at all. It was just a little awkward carrying them. So I just started working on that that morning, and I think it only took me like 2.5 hours to get these garden beds placed in, which was kind of nice that the old garden beds were the exact size of the dirt. There was, places that I had to dig out just a little bit to make everything even and the new beds to set right inside of there. So I worked on that for a couple hours. So these beds are 12 foot long by 4 foot wide and 1 foot tall. So I made a mistake on this very first bed. As you can see, I cover everything in leaves in the fall. And I got to working on this and I pushed the leaves to the side, which my dirt started mixing into the leaves, and you don't want to do that. Don't do my mistake. I should have completely raked off the leaves in the very beginning. So this bed has a lot of leaves mixed into it. So I'm going to have to correct the soil because usually leaves will rob out the nitrogen and your plants won't do very well. I'm going to have to put in some nitrogen back into this bed just in case. I don't want to have any problems growing my carrots this year because this is my carrot bed. So I'm just going to put some compost in here and probably some aged chicken manure just to fix this bed, and I will probably do it with the other beds too, just to get the health of the soil where it needs to be for the growing season. Now, whenever I was digging this out, I found so many worms, and that is such a good sign. That's why I love covering everything in leaves in the fall. You will see so many worms the next season forming into the soil, and that just means your soil is so healthy and the worms are getting in there and doing their job. So this second bed that I'm working on here will be the potato bed. I'm just going to do one potato bed this year. So I'm trying to make it a little bit closer to the other beds, so I'm trimming out one of the sides so I can move it more over so I can have more walking space in the side entrance over here. So this second bed that I'm working on here, I learned from the first bed that I scraped all the leaves to the side, and then I went and got my wheelbarrows and was putting the dirt in there so it'd be a little bit easier for me to dump back inside because my back was starting to hurt a little bit from doing all this. But talking about these garden beds, they're actually not the best quality. They're pretty flimsy, so I'm not sure how many years I'm going to get out of these beds. I actually priced wood in comparison of ordering these, and then we also had some metal that we were going to trim out in wood and make some garden beds. These actually ended up being a lot cheaper than the route that we were going to go. So I'm hoping to get many years out of these, I really hope, but they're kind of flimsy. You don't want to sit on the side of these. I'm afraid the kids, whenever we harvest or planting, whatever, I'm afraid the sides will bend really easy. And whenever I was dumping the soil in here from the wheelbarrows, it kind of bent the side a little bit, which is totally fine. And then I cut my arm twice on the metal, So don't want to do that. Got to be careful. So I'm a little afraid that the kids might get a little hurt maybe through the years. So I just have to remind them to be very careful whenever we're harvesting out of here. So here I'm just watering everything in after I put all the soil in here. Hopefully everything will pack down, because tomorrow I'm going to be planting everything. So I watered it in really, really good. This is what they look like after I got done. So I feel so accomplished that I tackled this project yesterday. It was hard work. My back hurts today, but I'm so glad I got it done, because today is the day that I am planting potatoes and carrots. I'm almost in the last part of the days where it's almost too late to plant these, so at least the potatoes anyway, but I need to get them in the ground today. So yesterday I didn't film this part, but I ended up putting a layer of compost on these beds and working it in the first couple of inches so they can have some nutrients. So I'm going to be planting 3 different varieties of carrots, and then I think 2 varieties of red potatoes, because that's all of our farm store had left over the other day. So I'm not too worried about that, because growing potatoes here, we don't have the proper storage in our house. It stays pretty warm in our house, and the potatoes don't really last long. I don't have a root cellar or anything like that. So the only reason why I'm growing potatoes is because my kids love digging them up, and of course we're gonna eat them. But if I had a root cellar or somewhere to store them, like a basement or something, I would grow way more, but it's just not ideal in our little house right now. We have no storage. We have one little closet that I like to keep my garlic and stuff like that in, but just not enough room for my potatoes. And so I'm just gonna grow a few this year. I'm not gonna worry too much about it. I'm gonna just grow for the kids because they really enjoy digging them up. So we started planting the carrots first in this first bed, and I actually have 3 varieties that I am planting this year. And I'm actually going to write this down of how I planted these so I know what performs better than the other. I've always wanted to do this every year. Sometimes I'm just in a hurry and I just throw the carrot seed in and I really don't know what's what. But this year I'm actually taking the time. I'm going to write it down, what section I planted each of these varieties, so I can see what does better. And if they all do really good, then I'll just keep planting these 3 varieties. These are nothing special. I think I got these at our farm store. So later on, when I'm done with this bed, these green little stakes, I used my garden staples to put where each variety is. So I stapled them down so I know exactly what section everything is. So I just continued to fill up this whole entire bed. So this is a 12-foot by 4-foot, so it's like a pretty big bed of carrots that I'm sowing here. And I'm hoping that I can get a good harvest again this year, because last year was our first year that we ever canned carrots, and I still have a ton in my pantry right now. So it was a lot of work when we did that last year. It's probably one of the hardest things to can, in my opinion, but if I just hopefully can get it done again this year, that would be awesome. So these are the potatoes that I got at our farm store. Again, there's not very many right here, but later on I went to town and I ended up getting more potatoes at our local greenhouse. So there's a little bit more that I planted on here in a little while. See, look here, you can see the worms that are forming in this bed. I found so many worms, and I'm so excited that this soil is really healthy. So these are 2 varieties of red potatoes, and then when I went to the greenhouse, I ended up getting Kennebec potatoes that they had left over. So I was almost too late getting the rest of the potatoes because all the potatoes in our town were selling out. So I got to snag up a few more potatoes to put in this bed. So the kids came in and helped me finish up the last few of these potatoes. They love to plant things. And then we moved on to planting some beets and radishes later on in a different bed. to finish that up. So I feel really good about getting all my spring stuff in the ground finally. I got it done probably 2 days just in time before it was like almost to that too late mark. So now I'm just gonna have to save up some money for the 2 other beds, and I will link these beds down in my description below if anybody is interested in ordering these. Now just keep in mind, you know, they're cheaper bed and they're not the best quality, but I'm hoping to get a good couple years out of them. That's what I need right now to accomplish this whole entire garden. I think we're at the point now in our garden that everything is basically established. It's just maintaining my mulch every year and then making sure my soil is healthy and not compacting down. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video today. It was really hard work. I'm glad I actually got myself out there and finished these beds by myself, so my husband didn't have to help because he's always working and busy and I don't like having him to help me do everything. So I'm very proud of myself that I accomplished this on my own, but I'm very grateful that my kids and my husband put these beds together for me, so that made it really easy for me to just pick them up and take them out to the garden and just place them how I needed. And I feel like I did a really good job lining them up very even. Later on, I'm sure whenever all the soil settles, it'll start bowing out, because I've noticed in some of the pictures of previous customers, the soil starts bowing out the sides of the beds, which it's totally fine. If I could just get the couple years that I need out of the beds, I would be very happy. Hopefully it's more than 5 years. That's what I'm hoping. So I don't want to have to replace anything in that nick of time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.